name is Mansa Shroff. I graduated from Cambridge Judge Business School in 2024. At the heart of the Cambridge MBA is adaptability. What I mean by that is, working across different disciplines to understand how to be adaptable as a reflection of what comes in the real world. So for example, in our first term, we had a project called the Consulting Venture Project, where we were placed with people from different backgrounds. So I had a British accountant, an Indonesian consultant, a Peruvian banker, a Taiwanese influencer, and myself, an Indian pharma professional. And we were working on a wind energy project. It required us to be adaptable, to us to kind of think outside the box, to come with learnings from our different backgrounds and break that siloed thinking in the consortium of an MBA to develop solutions that were important for a project like wind energy, which none of us had a background about. So I think it really helps to work in a cross-disciplinary environment, because that's what nurtures collaborations, and that's a reflection of what happens in the real world. So speaking from a healthcare perspective, the Cambridge experience is quite unique during the MBA for me. And I'd bucket that into three different areas. So we have translational and innovation accelerators that allow scientific innovations to come to market. For example, we have entities like the Wellcome Trust with the Stem Cell Institute, or the Cambridge Judge Business School also offers accelerator programs like the Ignite and Accelerate Cambridge. Outside of the business school, we have platforms that encourage dialogues and thought leadership. You might have heard of the Cambridge Union, where they invite renowned speakers like Sam Altman or Jeffrey Archer. Along with that, Cambridge also offers a consortium for biotech innovators. So we have the Cambridge Global Biotech Revolution, which is a platform for pharma companies to connect with leaders in Cambridge and allows for innovation to prosper. Lastly, I think Cambridge is really unique with its college system. We have 31 different colleges. Think about it as, Hogwarts houses. And each of those 31 colleges has a unique offering. So for example, I studied at the King's College, which is known for its entrepreneurship lab. Then we have the Wolfson College, which allows for conversations around global health. We have the Queen's College, which invites industry legends like Indira Nooyi, the ex-MD of PepsiCo, to talk about her journey. In summary, I think Cambridge really has unique resources to offer alongside the MBA experience. During my summer term as a full-time MBA student, we had to take up a summer project, which I did with Johnson & Johnson in the US. And this was particularly focused on lung cancer device, looking into a new market entry, which had to be United Kingdom. So the challenge wasn't the tech or the market. It was actually physician adoption and system level barriers. To simply put it, it basically means, we had to understand regulatory issues, physician uptake and adoption while working through the bureaucracy of getting a device approved in a system like NHS. So because we partnered with Cambridge University Hospital System, we worked closely with the physicians there to understand their real world constraints. It helped us take a deep dive into a market research opportunity and get critical feedback, which helped us transform our commercial strategy and kind of understand what it means to get a product from bench to boardroom and get approvals from a different market, just over a period of 3 months. I'd like to highlight my experience from Cambridge to Cambridge. I've been in Cambridge, US, and then I studied in Cambridge, UK, and I saw both the ecosystems. And the one golden thread is the compact innovation hub that allows engineers and scientists and business leaders and philosophers to all come in one town. It's the proximity of ideas and people, that rate of collision, that drives innovation. We have a live example of how flourishing the Boston ecosystem is. And Cambridge is the Silicon Fen of the UK, which similarly, demonstrates the ability to innovate. So, across walking through different ecosystems in Cambridge while having access to Nobel laureates or philanthropists or corporates such as Microsoft and AstraZeneca or venture capitalists, it makes a business leader to develop ideas so easy that you want to innovate. You have the opportunity and the pathway to accelerate your idea into a tangible innovation. And I think that's what makes the Cambridge research ecosystem so unique to boost business innovation. What's really unique about the Cambridge MBA is you have the opportunity as a student to lead special interest groups, which is called SIG. So during my time at the MBA, I was the leader for the healthcare cohort. And it basically allows you to build a platform where you connect existing MBA students with alumni or students from other programs like the EMBA, the Global MBAs, or MFINs, and you invite global leaders to come and talk to these students to talk about the work that they're doing or the industry that they're working in. It basically enriches the experience by fostering a dialogue between different communities and allows for people to learn from each other. Now, outside of the typical academic work that the MBA students do, we also have a lot of interesting extracurriculars that enrich our overall Cambridge experience. So one of the fondly remembered memories for me is formal dinners. So think about your themed events where you're wearing formal gowns and you sit with undergrads, grads, and visiting scholars to dine, in a room that was built 800 years ago. And it is through one of these experiences, I met someone in archery, and I ended up picking that for the rest of my Cambridge MBA. And I think those are the kind of conversations that, these formal dinners allow you to work on. Additionally, outside of it, we also have intercollegiate sport competitions like the MBAT, which was held in HEC Paris last year. It's basically MBAs bonding over sports, not just over PowerPoint, which allows us to talk about, the work that we're doing outside of 9-to-5 jobs that we previously had, and to build new connections. When you're a student at the Cambridge MBA, you're also a student of Cambridge University, which means you're a part of an alumni network spread across the world. And personally, for me, I've tapped into alumni spanning in finance, pharma, policy, academia, which has enriched my path. So before applying for the Cambridge MBA, I spoke to over 10 or 20 alumni to get an understanding of how their experience was at Cambridge. And I think it really helped me understand what I could make of my experience in 10 months. The MBA passes in a blink of an eye, so you want to make sure that the connections that you're making early over LinkedIn or WhatsApp or CJBS Connect, which happens every September, allows you to build relationships early in your career, which then become relationships for a lifetime. And it is through these relationships I've usually found my projects at J&J or at Novartis or at the World Bank. And I think it's because of the alumni community we're able to tackle a lot of conversations and concerns even in our day-to-day jobs. Like we have a very active WhatsApp community for healthcare professionals where we talk about, any questions that we might have in the industry. So I think the concept of alumni spans outside of the Judge MBA throughout the university as well. And it's always exciting to meet people in real life after you connected with them over LinkedIn and you cross paths with them in different cities when you travel. The CJBS Connect happens every September. It allows for alumni across the world to have in-person meetups and from different disciplines. So that means coming from Mumbai, I would have opportunity to meet people from law, philosophy, engineering, while I was an MBA student. And I think it's through this network, you understand the value of the network that Cambridge has to offer you, but you also just meet very interesting people at different parts of their life to understand what they did and how best did they make the use of their time at Cambridge. Interdisciplinary teamwork is at the heart of the Cambridge MBA. We have a lot of classes that focus on this. So for example, I'd like to discuss the class in negotiation. This was particularly important for someone coming from a partnerships background because in my role, in my day-to-day conversations, I have to have a deep understanding of cultural nuances and to understand how it is important to communicate and build trust across different cultures. So in our negotiation class, we had a simulation where we had to represent American and Chinese companies. And it was eye-opening to understand how people in a negotiation environment communicate differently in terms of their style, acceptability of feedback, decision timelines, communicating clarity. And I think it's because of these experiences, I have been able to enrich my experience currently in my role as well, while I lead conversations between Colombia and India. And I think the key concept of the MBA is to understand how to make a team work, right? It's not just having people from different backgrounds for the sake of diversity. It's to actually make the diversity click and work. And I think that's what's really important as a learning for me from my Cambridge MBA experience. In the short 10 months that we have as an MBA student, we have a couple of opportunities to interact with other faculties in the business school. So for example, we had shared classes and case competitions with students from MFin, EMBAs, entrepreneurship students, and MPhil in philosophy. I think it really teaches the current MBA students a lot about time management while working with working professionals, since we are full-time MBAs, and strategic thinking from technical minds, because they've been in different parts of the industry and were able to learn from their experiences while working on a similar project in the class or as a case competition. And in the process of doing so, I think it enabled us, especially me, when I took some classes in venture capital, M&A, or case competitions in healthcare, to differentiate my perspective in risk-taking, in innovation, in scaling, and communicating with different cultures across the world, because that's how real business deals are made. You have to work with people from different backgrounds and with different interests and incentives. For me, the choice was really obvious. I did not want to just belong to a business school. I wanted to belong to a university. And that really mattered for me because I come from a strong STEM background, and I was looking for an opportunity to connect with people outside of the business school as well. And I really appreciated that Cambridge is not a centralized campus. It has 31 colleges. It spans across a huge land. And it is a living, breathing ecosystem, as we fondly call it, the Silicon Fen of the UK, where movement and collision with people outside of your academic domain sparks connections, sparks conversations. And I think that's what really mattered to me. So outside of the Judge Business School, we also have over 700 student societies, which means we have endless opportunities for connections. One of them included my work through the archery club, or through the global pharma groups at Cambridge. And the Cambridge MBA, I think, is a bifurcation of two things. You have the Cambridge and then you have the MBA. And that means as a full-time student, you get to belong to three communities. You get to belong to your college, which for me was King's College. You get to belong to Cambridge Judge Business School. And then you get to belong to the university itself, which means you have three different networks, three energies, and three identities that you get to string together and have access to all of those ecosystems when and how you like to choose it. So I'll start with something that resonates with MBA students, which is statistics. So more than 50% of different nationalities are demonstrated and represented in our MBA cohort. We're about 47% women, which matters to me because I come from a STEM background, and I wanted to make sure that women are equally represented in class so we can have mature dialogues about board discussions or how negotiations take place, when you always have maybe a white man on the other side. And I think that made me realize that diversity is at the foundation of what the Cambridge MBA has to offer. Outside of it, I think it just felt fascinating to walk on the same road as Stephen Hawking or Jawaharlal Nehru or Newton or Einstein and Turing and Sylvia Plath. And then you realize that you've had beer in the same place where Watson and Crick announced the identification of the double helix of DNA. And as a complete healthcare nerd, what could be better than that, when you're sitting in one of those places? Another fun fact that I think was quite poetic for me when I chose the MBA at Cambridge is that the Cambridge Judge Business School used to be a hospital. So it was founded in 1766, and I think it was renovated around 1990 and opened by Queen Elizabeth II. And it just feels like a wonderful golden thread where once upon a time where people were being cured of the diseases in the hospital, now perhaps STEM students like myself are thinking about building a real world business solutions to cure those very diseases that were once very hard to cure. So I'd say that has been my surprise and my experience at the MBA.